being on the ambulance, we have a lot of similarities with truck drivers. We call our ambulance the rig or the truck, and we're in those ambulances for 12 to 24 to 48 hours straight.
Sarah Fogg, a longtime EMT, says it's important for truckers to keep their health at the forefront while they're in their rig, and there are so many ways to stay safe.
Number one is make sure you are getting enough sleep. Your body needs that relaxation time, so that way you can get on the road and drive that heavy piece of machinery safely. So that way you're not endangering yourself and not endangering the public. And make sure you're moving around. Being on the truck, on the rig, will force you to be sitting in that seat for a long period of time. So when you're sitting like that, you're not moving a whole lot. And there's a medical term called DVT, deep vein thrombosis. That's a blood clot. Now, blood clots the DVTs, they'll wind up in your lower calf area. And that's from sitting for a long period of time. Now, how can you lower your risk for developing a DVT? Well, number one would be diet. Make sure you're eating a well-rounded, balanced diet that has all the nutrients that you need. And make sure you're getting enough exercise. Now, for some people, enough exercise is, I run 5 miles a day. But for other people, hey, maybe it's every single morning you try touching your toes, and then you do 2 laps around your rig. Check out all the wheels, go a little detailed on it, look at your rig, make sure it looks good. Maybe it's even washing your rig. That's a good amount of exercise right there, is washing your rig.
According to the CDC, every 40 seconds someone has a heart attack, and every year 805,000 Americans have heart attacks. Truck drivers have a higher chance of having a heart attack due to many factors like obesity, unhealthy diets, and inactivity. Knowing the signs of a heart attack is something to be aware of.
So when it comes to a heart attack, people experience it differently. But I would tell you, if you feel really bad heartburn, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna ignore it. It's heartburn, I get heartburn all the time. That happens to some people, but let's say I had that pain in my chest and I also had dizziness, nausea, vomiting, fainting. Maybe your skin looks pretty cool and pale, or your blood pressure's a little bit lower. All of that would be a very big red flag of there's something going on that needs more attention, that you should definitely be calling 911 if you're experiencing any of those symptoms.
If there's one thing to take away from this, it's to create your own identification card and keep it with you at all times in case of an emergency.
Get a piece of paper. On that piece of paper, I want you to write your first and last name. Maybe you can also put your social security number on there if you feel comfortable doing that. Put your social security number on there and put your emergency contacts. Someone that in a case of emergency and you're incapacitated, a paramedic like myself or the hospital can call that person to let them know that you are injured and you're at the hospital.
Strokes are another thing to watch out for, and so important to know the signs for, especially when you're in your rig, because they could lead to long-term damage in the future.
When something's wrong with your body, you're going to have pain. When something's wrong with your brain, you're going to have neurological deficits. What that means is your nervous system might not be able to control all of the muscles that it needs to. So when it comes to stroke, some symptoms that you want to look out for, we use an acronym called FAST. The FAST stands for facial symmetry, arm drift, slurred speech, and time. Now, if someone has facial symmetry, it's all even, right? If they're having a stroke, it might look like this. Number 2 is arm drift. So when it comes to arm drift, what I'm going to do is raise up the patient's arms, hold them out like this, and then just tell them to hold it. So if they're having a stroke, one of the arms will drop, or it's going to slowly go down. The next one would be slurred speech. The slurred speech is going to sound like they've been drinking. Let's say a cop pulls someone over for swerving, all right? The cop pulls them over, and the person is slurring their speech. The cop's automatically going to think, they're just drinking, when in fact they could be having a serious medical condition like a stroke happening to them. And then last one is timing. So time is time to call 911. If you have any of those things listed right there, call 911 immediately. You want to get help as soon as you can. When it comes to your brain, time is critical.
Sarah says the best way to think about it is to remember your body is like a diesel engine.
Now, what happens when you put regular gas into a diesel engine? The engine goes to shit. Yeah, you're not going to be able to drive that thing out of the gas station. So your body is a diesel engine that requires diesel fuel. So make sure you're giving yourself good fuel for your body. Your body's an engine. Eat healthy, drink lots of water. That's the advice I have for that.